So hello students, today I am just going to talk with you about the properties of colloidal salt which are developed due to charge on them. What characteristics they show because of charge on them. As we studied in the process of peptidation, when we have a precipitate of any compound, like suppose we have a precipitate of ferric hydroxide and we add ferric chloride electrolyte to it, we have dispersion medium as well. So these particles of ferric hydroxide absorb ferric ions, and when the particles of precipitate absorb ferric ion, all of them get the same charges and they start repelling each other, and this results in the formation of a colloidal salt. We have another example. We have a precipitate of AgI, we add potassium iodide to it. So precipitate of AgI absorb iodide ion and they start again repelling each other, and this results in the formation of a colloidal salt. Now I just want to remind you one thing. Here you notice that from the electrolyte only though that ion is absorbed which is common to precipitate. You see here in this ferric hydroxide precipitate, ferric ion is absorbed, and in this silver iodide precipitate, iodide ion is absorbed. Here ferric ion is common, here iodide ion is common. So this results in the formation of charge on colloid particles. Now one interesting and important point is there, like this is ferric hydroxide particle and it absorbs ferric ion. Now you can ask, okay, sir, what about the leftover chloride ion? So remember, it is present in the dispersion medium, but what the ferric ion do? It attract this chloride ion. It remain in the dispersion medium, but this ferric ion absorbed on ferric hydroxide attract chloride ion towards itself, and this results in the formation of a kind of electrical double layer. This is called electrical double layer, where ferric hydroxide has ferric ion and chloride ion in the solvent but near to colloid particle, and this is called electrical double layer. Same here, in this AgI particle, iodide ion is absorbed and potassium ion forms the another layer. And remember, the layer of ion which is absorbed here, this is called fixed layer, and this the layer of counter ion, you can say, this is called diffuse layer. Like here the iodide ion is present on the silver iodide, so this is called fixed layer, and potassium ion form a diffuse layer. So this results in an electrical double layer, and remember it is also termed as Helmholtz electrical double layer. Helmholtz electrical double layer. Now since the two oppositely charged ions close to each other, no doubt one give charge to the colloid particle, other give charge to the dispersion medium, but since the two oppositely charged ions close to each other form two layers, so they develop potential, and they develop potential difference also definitely. When this fixed layer form a potential, when this diffuse layer form a potential, so you will find that there is a difference in the potential of these two, and this difference in the potential is called zeta potential. So I repeat, okay, in case of colloidal salt, there is the formation of double layer. Ferric hydroxide particle absorb ferric ion, chloride ion forms the diffuse layer. So this is fixed and this is diffuse, the two opposite charge layers, and they develop a kind of electrical double layer. They develop a difference in potential which is called as zeta potential. This is one of the property due to charge on colloid particles. Now it's very clear, okay, since they have some charges. Remember, colloid particle have charge and dispersion medium also have charge. and it's very clear. The charges on colloid particle and dispersion medium will be opposite to each other, but still they do not cause any coagulation because they balances the charge of each other. Coagulation, precipitation will not take place yet. Now since colloid particle have some charges, so because of this property they show a phenomena called electrophoresis. And in this electrophoresis, what do we observe? We have taken a colloidal solution. Now in this colloidal solution, what do we find? These are colloid particles. Let us take the example of ferric hydroxide salt. Now it's very clear, ferric hydroxide salt, these particles having ferric ion over them. So all these are having positive charges. So on applying electric current, these ferric hydroxide particles, because they have ferric ion over there, because they have positive charge on them, on passing electricity, these colloid particles moves towards the negative plate, which is called cathode. This phenomena of movement of colloid particle towards one of the charged plate, this is called electrophoresis. This is termed as electrophoresis. Similarly, you observe, this is another example I have taken, and this example, what do we find? We have silver iodide salt which is with negative charge. It is having the negative charge, and when it is having the negative charge, what do we find? This plate has positive charge, this plate has negative charge. These are the colloid particles of silver iodide. Now on passing electricity, now it's very clear to all of us, since colloid particle have negative charge, so on passing electricity, they move towards the positive plate. So this is electrophoresis. Either the colloid particle, if positive charge they have, they move towards the negative plate. If negative charge they have, they move towards the positive plate. This is called electrophoresis. Now what I told, solvent also have some charges, so they can also move under the influence of electric field. So for this we have a phenomena of electroosmosis. Why we have to discuss about electroosmosis? Because now we have to discuss about the movement of solvent, not the colloid particle. So we have to stop them from moving. Colloid particles are to be stopped from moving. Otherwise if they move, so electrophoresis will also take place. But here we have to discuss about the movement of solvent. So that's why what we do, we take a container. In this it is partitioned with the help of semi-permeable membrane, which allows only solvent particle to pass through it. Now this is colloidal solution, and this is the semi-permeable membrane which allows only solvent to move. Now on passing electricity, colloid will not move, semi-permeable membrane will stop, only solvent molecules will move across the semi-permeable membrane. And now it's very clear. Now you see, if ferric hydroxide salt which is having positive charge, now what will be the charge on the solvent? Definitely negative. So when ferric hydroxide salt is taken, solvent is to move and it is having negative charge, it will move towards the negative plate. Now tell, if silver iodide salt is there, so on colloid particle what is the charge? Yes, negative, because of iodide ion. And what is the charge on solvent? Yes, correct, positive, because of K positive ion. So now during electroosmosis, colloid particle doesn't move, solvent move, and in case of AgI, the solvent will move towards the negative plate, and in case of ferric hydroxide, the solvent will move towards the positive plate. So this is phenomena electrophoresis, electroosmosis, because colloidal solutions develop some charges. And colloid particle move, electrophoresis. If solvent move, this is called electroosmosis. Now remember, as long as the colloid particles have charges, they are stable. But as and when charges are removed, they are not stable, they immediately settle down. Means, you remember, you can recollect, I told you because of Brownian movement also brings the stability to the colloidal solution. Because of Brownian movement, colloid particles move here and there, and they do not coalesce, they do not collect because of the force of gravity. So this is one of the major reason of stability of colloidal solution. And another major reason of the stability of colloidal solution is the formation or development of charge on colloid particle. It's clear from here also. Colloid particle, as long as they have positive charges, ferric hydroxide, ferric ion, they all have same charges, they repel each other, they are stable. But when the charge is removed, when this charge is removed, they get collected together and they get settled down at the bottom, and this phenomena is called as coagulation or precipitation. And this can also be called as flocculation when this process occurs partially. When this process takes place partially, then this is also called as flocculation. Now what I am telling you, how this coagulation can be done. Coagulation, I repeat, colloidal solution is stable as long as colloid particle have some charges. But as and when the charges are removed, colloid particle collect together and they settle down. So how the charges can be removed? You know, by electrophoresis. Colloid particle with positive charge move to negative plate, settle down there. This is electrophoresis, they get neutralized. So coagulation can be done by the process of electrophoresis. I think it is very clear. Similarly, you see now, there are two good examples. We have one colloidal sol where colloid particle have positive charge. We have another colloidal sol where colloid particle have negative charge. It is also very good example. Now what we do, if we mix them together, they neutralizes each other. Colloid particle of ferric hydroxide having positive charge get neutralized by iodide negative ion of silver iodide, and it is neutralized by ferric ion. So this is called another process which is called mutual precipitation. Mutual precipitation means the two oppositely charged colloid particle when mixed, they settle down each other, and then again coagulation process takes place. Now what next? I told you this is prolonged dialysis. We know dialysis is the process which is carried out to purify the colloidal solutions. Colloidal solutions, you know, they have charges, but they have some extra charges also called impurity charges. So during dialysis, those impurity charges are removed, which brings the stability to the colloidal sol. But if you carry out this process for a longer time, for a greater time, so what do we find? First, the impurity ions are removed, then further those ions are also removed which are adsorbed on the colloid particle. Like first, when you carry out dialysis here, first impurity ions are removed, then on prolonged dialysis, a longer dialysis, during this longer dialysis, what do we find? The ferric ions are also removed. Now what next? This is called by excessive boiling. By excessive boiling means you carried out boiling for a longer time period, then also the colloid particles get settled down. This is called coagulation. Now there is another last very important, we will discuss it further also, by adding excess amount of electrolyte. When you say by adding excess amount of electrolyte, you add more amount of electrolyte. Like for example, here we have ferric hydroxide salt. Fine. Now what we do? We add it first. It is prepared by adding ferric chloride. Now what do? You add a greater amount of an electrolyte, say NaCl, into it. Now as and when you add NaCl to it, large amount of chloride ions are produced there. More than required chloride ions are there. Now what they do? These chloride ions, now they neutralizes these positive charges, and this also result in the process of coagulation. For example, here we have silver iodide. On colloid particle we have negative charge. Let again we added NaCl. Now tell which ion will neutralize this iodide ion? Yes, correct. sodium ion, because sodium ion is having the positive charge. It will neutralize this silver iodide and it will all settle down. So this is by addition of electrolytes. But by addition of electrolytes, we will discuss it more. Right now, on the charge, we discuss about the 4 important phenomena. First, how the charge is produced. Second, because charge is produced, both colloid and solvent get the charge. The colloid moves under the electric field, electrophoresis. Solvent moves in the electric field, electroosmosis. And when this charge is removed, then coagulation takes place. Thank you.